You know, for authenticity's sake, I demanded they kill all the air conditioning in here. It is August, and we wanted to create the most accurate environment possible.
The arena experience.
Exactly, the true arena experience. We're in what I could legitimately call a wrestling church now, of the past, with one of the architects of what was preached here on a monthly basis to what probably should have been, gauging from building size, about 800 people, but often became 1,500 or 2,000. Tod Gordon, we're in the ECW Arena, the former ECW Arena, now 2300 Arena. Thank you.
Thank you.
You will be the first edition on the DVD holder's shelf as we're covering 92, 93, but this is actually the series finale because we jumped around years and we covered your history, or the history of what you began, with people like Shane Douglas and Sandman and New Jack, and it would not have happened without Tri-State Wrestling.
It's true.
Is this not a fact?
Absolutely a fact.
What was Tri-State Wrestling in 1992, if I could go back in the time machine?
Tri-State Wrestling was a promotion started by a guy by the name of Joel Goodhart, who did a weekly radio show on the All Sports Talk radio show here in Philadelphia. And being a wrestling fan, the fact there was a wrestling show on the radio, I was like, really? They're like legitimizing wrestling? And so found the show, started tuning in, listening, and he was running 4 mega shows a year at the Civic Center and occasionally spot shows in other areas. And I guess I started out, I contacted him and I said, you know, how can I get involved with this stuff? It sounds phenomenal. I love what you're doing. And I said, I think one of the first interactions I had with him, I said, I wanted to get someone in my store for a promotion, bring a wrestler in. He said, who do you have in mind? I said, Missy Hyatt. I mean,
everyone had Missy Hyatt on their mind in 1992.
1991, 1991 back
much
then.
Better
she
than
was
92.
Smoking in that era. Right here, she came out of the Texas territories and all.
Right.
Oh my God, she hadn't touched her face yet or any other part of her body, and she was blow away gorgeous. I mean, unbelievable. And so she came to my store, and I have a very refined store, by the way. It's a very nice jewelry store. It's a high-class establishment. And she walked in within minutes. She's laying across my counter in front of all the customers. We're on one side of the counter, the customers, and there she is playing. I said, "Oh my God!" I'm like all shy, like she's sitting there. She's like, "Come on, baby!" She was like, "Wow!" She was the walking riot already, Missy Hyatt. And then I started doing some advertising with Joel. Then she became a silent partner. I gave him a little seed money because he was struggling, and he had literally zero business acumen. I mean, literally zero. And he started doing those Civic Center shows where he would bring in a mega load of talent.
Right.
Anybody who had a name anywhere that he marked out for as a kid, he'd bring in, which I understood the philosophy behind, but on a business level, maybe one guy too. You don't bring in 17, like anybody you can even think of, that's what he did.
Who was his booker?
I assume he was his own booker. I guess he was his own booker. Although most of the talent he brought in of any name value, he would let them do their own finishes and their own booking.
Okay.
I mean, he wouldn't really book it because it was not an ongoing feud kind of deal.
It was one night.
It was just a one-night, blow-off show kind of deal. And the Civic Center was a huge place to do shows like that. And he did pretty well there, but never was able to, make the nut.
Now, you telling him, listen, here's your expense column, here's your profit. Do you see if we don't bring in all these wrestlers, we can shorten this column? Are you giving him that?
Yeah, of course I'm telling him that. Because you don't understand the business. I know what I need to draw. I said, okay. I said, you have to have Austin Idol and this one and really to draw? I mean, my God. I mean, when he tried the show when he just had Eddie Gilbert and Cactus Jack, which were 2 big names headlining and nobody else, and they worked 3 times in the same night, he outdrew every other show he did.
Right.
But meanwhile, the next show is Abdullah, this one and that, and the Sheik came up. All names that I used, but at that point we were on television. We were a much, bigger growing product.
Right. The city of Philadelphia. A wrestling city?
The city of Philadelphia is a very, very unique city. Yes, it is a wrestling city. We were probably the ones here that got the NWA when it was, as it was merging, becoming WCW, to start coming east all the time. They drew here, they never drew anywhere else. And here you couldn't bullshit anybody. Mm. I mean, the people in this city, it's one thing to say you can work them, and you can in a wrestling persona, but you can't bullshit them.
Right.
You can't give them a product that they know is bullshit. They're not going to just take any paddle and shove down their throat. I mean, they'll still go to the Eagles games when they're 2-14, but if they see somebody who's not trying out there, that's the guy they're after. The guys who are trying their hardest, no matter how much they suck, at least they're putting the effort. That they respect the effort. It's a nitty-gritty city in that regard. And in fact, I can remember once being at the Civic Center, which we talked about for years when Shane Douglas came here. It was the Dynamic Dudes against Freebirds. Freebirds are the heels, Dudes are the baby faces. And this, at that time, it just didn't happen. They booed every piece of offense that the Dudes got in. That had never happened before. Right. And they're in the ring, and you could see them like they were shaking. Like Shane was young, and Johnny Ace, I guess, was young, but they were shaking, and the Freebirds were just laughing. Yeah. They were like, oh my God, anything the Freebirds did, the place exploded. Any offense, and this is what they do now when they're trying to like piss on Roman Reigns or something. Right. But then it was the furthest thing from that had never been seen before. Right. And that's the kind of fan base we had here.
The heel town.
It was a heel town, but you could be a heel baby face, but you couldn't be a good-looking baby face. You couldn't be the matinee idol baby face. That would never fly in Philadelphia.
You said you're talking to him and you're trying to lend a little business acumen to someone who didn't have any. Do you realize that it's over here?
Oh, I realized that it was over because all of a sudden he wasn't returning calls that last 2 weeks. He didn't show up. I guess he did show up at the radio show, but when I did speak to him, I said, you know, you're not going to be able to. You know the money to bring these people in. I'm not giving you more. And my investment is where it is. That's where that's where I'm leaving it at. But how are you going to do the show? You got to give people their money back. He said, don't quit till the last minute. You don't know, people can walk out. I said, Joel, you don't have the money to pay the wrestlers. You don't have the money to pay, you give the guy. And he didn't, and he disappeared. And it really left a bitter taste in the fans' mouths here, right, who really had supported him. I mean, they really, they cared about what he was trying to do there. And around here, like I said, when you show the effort, you care, they're with you. Yeah. They just said, hey, don't worry about it. They'll pay for this one show. We'll give you extra. Just let's keep this thing alive. Let's keep it going.
But you can't fuck them.
Yeah, but don't fuck them. Just don't take their money and walk away, and then disappear, not take a phone call. Right. Which is basically what he did. And he, I guess he felt shame or he was disappointed that it didn't go over and it was a failure. But sometimes you got to man up and say, listen, I tried. Right. And they'll respect you for trying. Right. But don't just put your tail between your legs and run away. That was the worst mistake he made. After he went out of business and left, I got a phone call from Bob Ortiz. Bob Ortiz was the ring announcer. Everybody knows Bob Ortiz. He's just one of those guys you just gotta love. Greatest guy in the world. And he said, can I come talk to you with a couple of guys? I said, what about it? He said, can I just talk to you? I said, okay, come to my office. After work one day, he showed up with Larry Winters and a guy by the name of Stevie Wonderful, who was a sound man. Larry was a wrestler. Bob was a ring announcer for Joel. Comes in, they said, we would really did not see this die. Joel was running these bar shows. Let's keep it going. We can do this. If we all gather together, we can do it. But we can't get a license. No one's going to afford a license. You have to have something of value to put up as a bond in order to get your license as a promoter. Mm-hmm. You've got a house. Well, I wasn't going to put up. I wasn't losing the house. I mean, it's just to say, in order to get the license, you had to have some kind of a bond.
No, I know the collateral.
Well, it was like $1,000. It wasn't even an expensive bond. It was like $1,000 bond or something. That's all it took. And they couldn't come up with that. So I said, I got a business here. Oh, come on, it's once a month. We're doing this at Mike Schmidt Sports Bar. We got all the things ready. We got the wrestlers. We got the sound. We got all the stuff. We just didn't know where to put the show on. We just don't help us put the show on. I said, nah. Went back home, talked to my wife. Kids were too little to talk to them about it. Wrestled with, no pun intended. Said, oh, what the hell? What's the worst that could happen after a show or two? So we did. We went and talked to Mike Schmidt Sports Bar people, and they took me right in, and they said, yeah, we'd love to have you here on Tuesday nights, or I think it was Tuesday nights. It was a dead night for us, and then we do a weekly show there. And it's, all right, let's give it a shot, see what happens. Or it's bi-weekly, I think it was weekly. And we're going to start a new promotion. And we need a new name. Tri-State was Joel's name. And what he was going for, I think, at least what I was thought when I came up with Eastern was, yeah, I want to do it like in this area. I want to keep, I'm not going to start traveling around the world to do little bar shows. They're going to lose our asses. So how about we just start here, then we expand like to Jersey, we expand to New York, and Delaware, little by, piece by piece, inch by inch. That's a business model to me. And we started running Schmitz. First night, I go and talk to the guy at the sports bar. He goes, by the way, yes, absolutely, I want to do this on one condition. What's that? Sandman can't work ever at this bar. Now, I don't even hardly know Sandman.
Right.
But this is, I said, what do you mean he can't work at this bar? He goes, he's banned. He was banned from Mike Schmidt's sports bar? What the hell did he do? Oh, he spit it on a waitress and spit beer out of her. I said, you got to be kidding me. So now, of course, all the guys get all excited. Oh, we're going to start up in Tod Gordon. We run this thing. And DC Drake and Larry Winters and whoever. It's bum, bum, bum. And Sam was like, decent. Who am I working? I go, yeah, you're not on the show. He goes, what do you mean on the show? He goes, Gordon, you got to get me on the show. Sandman. I was just meeting the guy. I didn't know him a little bit from Joel's shows, but I didn't really have much interaction with him. Just we had the same birthday. Who found out? Anyway, I go back and talk to the guy. Listen, how about I get him to come in and apologize to this waitress? Try to use a little, little sentence. I go up, dude, you're gonna come in there, you're gonna kiss this lady's ass, or I can't use you. It's your call. Do it. Yeah. So of course he came in there. He's a worker. And he came in there and kissed, I'm sorry, ma'am. I don't was thinking, I get brain dead sometimes. I'll be a different person. So on the second show, I think it was that we brought him in. Or third, one of the second or third.
If this isn't a message from God to you right off the bat, that before you even promote your first show, you've got Sandman banned in your only venue, and you didn't pay attention to it. I want to ask you what your point of differentiation was from the product you were about to put out from what its previous incarnation was. Did you give any thought to the fact that I've got to separate the bad taste in the mouth?
Not at the beginning, because the bad taste in the mouth wasn't over the product. The bad taste in the mouth was over the way it ended. People liked the idea. I mean, at that point, all wrestling was so child-oriented and so cartoonish and so, to me, garbagey. It was almost unwatchable. It was one of the reasons I wanted to have my own promotion, to say, hey, there's only 12 of us. Let's do it the right way. Because I know when Joel was doing the shows, it was Hot Body and Stetson. They had their feud going on, and they were using chairs. They were using, and Larry Winters was falling off of balconies in Temple's McGonigal Hall. That was something nobody else was doing anywhere.
Right.
Down in Memphis, maybe a little bit, but no one up here was seeing Memphis television. If you got a magazine or an after mag, you can read about somebody hit somebody with a trash can and see a picture of the Moondogs, bleeding. And you're like, oh wow, where's that? I don't see any of that. It's just the one blue moon of maybe Bruno bleeds on TV. Right. That's it. I mean, so I wanted to keep along that vein, never thinking about where it goes from there. That's all just the very beginning stages. The first stages, I just think was like, yeah, I want to keep that kind of a hard hitting, believable. That's the word. Because that's the word to follow the thread all the way through ECW.
Believability.
Believable. Yeah. Because they were really hitting the hell out of each other. I mean, it's a work, but they were, it's not the kind of work like you see these guys doing this. And, they were cracking each other. The work may have been in the finish, but they wanted to show they were tough guys. They're from South Philly. They're right around the corner from here. From this Sandman. These guys are who they were. And he was still wearing a surfer's outfit back then. We hadn't quite gotten into the gimmick part, which we'll talk about later. But that was the difference, that we wanted to keep that same idea of believability.
Take me into the venue. Is it adequately equipped?
It's about the size of where we are right now. This little
just the stage.
Just the stage we're on. I mean, it was so small. First of all, you couldn't go off the top rope because you would hit your head on the ceiling. Right. And that was with a ring that we kept low to the ground. There was no regular height to it. Right. And you still couldn't jump off the top rope. There was maybe 2 rows that you could get around the ring, and then there was just the sparse seats in the bar, in the regular bar area. It did not hold a lot.
How did you draw? How did you market? Did you like flyer bomb? Like what?
Basically we did a little flyering, and we put the word out. I guess to people. There was a mailing list, I guess, of some sort they had that Bob Ortiz had. He used to do with Joel, and they had a hotline. They got X amount of calls, per week, and so then we could announce we're coming back, and word filters around here. If you're a wrestling fan, even though there's what's going on? Oh, did you hear they're starting a new promotion? No, when? And it's a word of mouth kind of thing too. And that's how we started, but it wasn't that many mouths. We were only drawing, 80 people. We were lucky.
Are you putting the cards together, doing the booking?
Yes.
Okay.
The first show I did not. The first show I let Larry Winters do the booking, and he swerved me, and it pissed me off. They wanted to do an angle where they were going to paint JT Smith white. I know, whatever. And I said, you can't do that. And this wasn't even a politically incorrect thing. It's just, I said, it's wrong. Right. I said, now, if you want to paint his partner black while you're painting him white, okay, now you got a balance there. At least it doesn't seem so offensive, because there's nothing, you're not getting back at JT by doing that, but now you're humiliating the team. It's a tag team match. It was, I think, Winters and Stetson, maybe, if I'm not mistaken. Anyway, sure enough, they get out there, and didn't they forget the black paint?
Shucks.
Yeah.
One of those things.
Welcome to wrestling, Todd. It's okay. No problem. Next show, I goes, here's what I have in mind. I said, you know what, Larry? I said, what I have in mind. You can work on the show, but you can book another show for me. Right. We talked.
I remember the black paint. You don't.
That was a week ago. That night I was telling him, that's it. I was furious.
Oh, I got you.
Because I have fans who were going like, what kind of bullshit? What was that, Todd? What was that? And I said, you're right. What was I going to say? He didn't listen to me? I said, you're right. I had to suck it up. Buck stops here.
Everybody makes their debut for ECW on this show, because this is the first ECW show. So I'm going to throw out the entire card, match by match. I want just your impressions of the workers, of the match. Maybe you don't even remember who I'm talking about.
I will not remember most of this. This was Larry put this first show together.
You opened with Jimmy Jannetty and Stevie Richards. Take both of them.
They were both guys who had worked for Joel. I mean, everybody in this group was part of Joel's school. He had a wrestling school. And they were all the students: JT Smith, the Sandman, CN Red, names I can't even pull out, and Donnie Allen, Hot Body Stetson. They were all Joel's from his school. They were teaching there, or they were the students there. And again, he put that first card together, so I couldn't tell you much impressions I had of anything that night. I was still trying to, figure out who's taking the ticket money, knew where the sound was going to come from.
Well, take Stevie Richards anyway. I mean, he's someone that you continue to work with. So
Stevie Richards ended up from that day where I barely knew him and didn't have much to say to him at all. And as time went on, and I watched him more and more, the kid had something. He definitely had something. I'll never forget, there was our first TV taping, maybe? No, taping a pilot, maybe. It was at the Tabor Youth Center, and they did a battle royal. And Hot Body and Stetson, and back then, poor Stevie, he was so thin. I mean, he was like a bone with skin on it. I mean, he really was thin, tall, long, the Shawn Michaels hair, very, very thin. And they took him and they just kept putting him in a headlock, and they chopped him unmercifully. I mean, like sadistically. I mean, this wasn't like for TV. Right? They just didn't like him, I guess.
Right.
Kid never said a word. Didn't cry, didn't moan, didn't come back saying, what kind of boy? No, start screaming in the back dressing room. I said, well, I admire that. I really did. I didn't admire what they did, because they weren't giving him a receipt for anything. Mm-hmm. They just didn't like they thought he was a pretty boy, whatever the case may be. And he didn't say a word, but I knew that he had something. And he also, as he developed, he ended up becoming a really damn good wrestler. I mean, as he filled out, he got bigger and smarter, and he got more into the business. And to this day, Steve's one of my best friends. I love Stevie. Kid's great. He's just got something that, had he not had all those throat operations, I think he would have been a big star in the WWE.
Glenn Osborne and Crybaby Waldo.
These are all Joel leftovers. It was like, to be honest with you, Glenn Osborne, they're all nice guys. Crybaby Waldo was just a big, heavy-set guy who was doing a gimmick, which is, I guess, a rip-off of the Crybaby Cannon. Yep. And no originality to it. Neither one of them could work. Or Glenn could work a little bit. But yeah, these guys didn't. Anybody who didn't stay on as we grew and grew, there was a reason for that.
Super Destroyer #1.
AJ Petruzzi.
AJ Petruzzi, a longtime
Terrific
WWF
guy.
jobber, and Michael Bruno worked this match.
Michael Bruno was one of the hitmen with Tony Stetson and Joel's
Correct.
group, and he did not last with us. More than a show or two, I don't think.
Match 4, Hitman Tony Stetson and Ivan Koloff, who's brought in here. Is this your name for the night, it looks like,
Yeah,
perhaps?
what I decided
Yes.
to do is I said to you, I forgot about this for a second, but yeah, like I said to you, what Joel's downfall was that he wanted to have every star in the world
Right.
on there. And I knew that no budget's going to be able to do that. We're drawing 80 people like I am, or he was, you can't do that. So I had to pick a name. You know, Ivan was just relatively off TV from WCW or NWA, I guess it was. And he was a drive, so he wasn't on a flight. And I called him up, you know, how much we just need to come in. I forget what he said, it's like 300 or 400. I can't remember the number right now. Because I just asked around, people like, this guy's, everybody loves Ivan. Everybody loves Uncle Ivan. He's the nicest guy to do business with. He's great. He's this, he's that, so on and so forth. I'm talking on the phone. He's a total gentleman. I'm waiting for him to go, oh, wow, you don't really talk like that? Oh, okay. Anyways, he comes up. What a great guy. I mean, I said he was such a gentleman. All the wrestlers were like so, you know, in awe of him. You know, he's a real star around them. And I said, he goes, "Who do you want me to work?" I said, "I'm looking at Tony Stetson. This guy's going to be like my tough guy kind of deal." He goes, "So you want me to put him over?" I said, "You would put him over?" He goes, "Sure, that's business." He goes, "You got to make your kid." He goes, "I'm already over." If he beats me, he gives him a. You just seen Tony when I told him he was going over. He's going, you know, like one of those deals. I said, "This guy's a professional." I mean, I would have done anything for Uncle Ivan after that. He was just such a great guy, and. You know, I'm going to get off color a little bit here and there throughout the tape.
That's why we're here. We're covering ECW. You can't.
I have a good friend named Mark Goldman. He says to me, never forget that night. He goes, "Todd, holy God, Ivan Cole just washed his dick out in the sink right next to me. Oh my God!" He was marking out like crazy because there was only one bathroom. You know, so that's where the wrestlers were dressing, where the fans were going to go to the bathroom. And we still joke to this day. I go, "I know, Ivan Koloff washed his dick out in the sink right now," because he said it just like that. He was like a little kid. He wasn't a little kid at the time. It was just really funny.
Gentleman Jeff Royal and Max Thrasher.
Max Thrasher was the guy whose ring we used.
Okay, very good.
Don't remember the other guy.
Johnny Hotbody and Luscious Larry Winters against, this is the match, JT Smith and DC Drake that you were supposed to do.
There it is. Did I tell you it was a tag team match? Okay, I didn't realize it was Hotbody. That makes more sense. Because Hotbody probably a little bit more prejudiced than Stetson. But anyway, yeah, so that's when they tried to swerve in that match, and that's when they lost the book after one show.
Are you and he still close? I know you were close at the time. Okay.
We've been close since the day I got him into that sports bar shows.
I was going to say, was it something that developed over the years, or did you just kind of instantly have
We
some
hit it off right away
going?
because he's a big sports fan.
Yeah.
I'm a big Philly sports fan, so we can go back and forth and go, no, this '79 team was better. No, the '83. We go back, and again, we're born the same day. We both like to just smoke and drink a little bit, so you know we just hit it off, and we were just best friends like right. that, and it just stayed that way. We traveled together all through the years in ECW.
What's your best behind-the-scenes Sandman story?
I wouldn't even know where to begin.
He's told so many about you.
I can just do it.
Our program.
I could do an hour and a half on Sandman. I can tell you about behind the scenes. I can tell you about the night we're in New York. And he said, "Man, one of these days I gotta fuck Missy Hyatt. I just gotta fuck Missy Hyatt." All right, well, we'll hopefully make your moves when we're done. So we go to do a show in New York. I go in the bathroom and I hear, that's Missy Hyatt's head going into the sink as he's fucking her in the bathroom. And her doing it. I go, "Hey, man," she goes, "Hey, Todd." Boom, boom, boom. This is, I mean.
That was the environment.
It was the fact that she was, I said, okay, you know, that's different. She's getting fucked in the middle of the bathroom. All the guys say, "Excuse me, I got to pee." Go around me. Go to this side. I mean, that's a typical Sandman story. One of my all-time favorites is You know, he's a bender guy. I mean, he's known for his benders. He's notorious for his benders. Even the dog agrees with me.
Yeah.
He's notorious for his benders. And
Fucking the dog in the sink one time.
4 or 5
I'm not going to
days.
talk about that, though.
4 or 5 days awake. You know, he's stay up drinking the entire time, snorting a little bit to keep himself awake. So he goes down on South Street here in Philadelphia, which is a lot of nightclubs and stuff like that are. There's long lines to get in them and stuff. You know, there are dance clubs, this kind of club, that kind of club. So he goes, he's just partying in the streets, you know, no shirt on, of course, you know, the snot rag hanging out of his pocket. And he goes, yo, Sandman. One of the bouncers goes, yo, come on, dude, you don't need a light, come on. So they bring Sandman to the front line, he goes inside, he's dancing away to music. And they're going, go Sandman, go Sandman. He gets up on the table, go Sandman. And he goes, you realize there's not a girl anywhere in the bar. He goes, oh shit, I'm in a gay bar. I'm gonna go Sandman, go Sandman. He goes, and he starts doing the conga line right out through the kitchen, out the back door. I mean, that's just typical Sandman. He's the best.
Love it. Do you reach out to them? Are they recommended?
No, they were recommended. Someone said, yeah, you got to meet my buddy Gary. It was probably Sandman. Yeah, my buddy Gary Wolf. His partner Anthony was still in Japan at the time, I believe. I don't think they worked as a team, that said?
Yes, they're actually known as Spike and Rex.
Oh, jeez. Yeah, that all evolved, obviously, into the Dogs of War. But
do you know early on that they're going to be somebody? I mean, is that you have a sensor?
You can see who's got it and who doesn't have it, like really right away almost. But you also can make people who have just a little bit of ability, you know, much bigger than they are if they give them something with like a character that they have confidence in. A wrestler's confidence can carry him a long way in the ring, a lot more you think, even when you're disguising what they don't do well.
Right.
You can have a match where you say, oh, well, I can't do a monkey flip. Whatever you do, don't try to make me do a monkey flip. All right, what can you do? Let's go with that. You know, let's push that along. You know, what kind of things you like to say, do when you're not here? Like, what's your personality? You try to give them a personality kind of deal. But the Pitbulls, they'd worked in Japan. They had Japanese experience, so they already had the ability to actually work. They could, you know, do some real work as a tag team. In order to make somebody, really make it in my locker room, if I'm going to start doing this as a regular thing, you want people to get behind people. You want them to have us, you know, to care about what they're saying. So in order to do that, obviously you make yourself have a championship. So that's something for them all to fight for. So you can get involved in thinking like, oh, I hope this guy gets to meet this guy along the way, or I hope that this guy gets to fight this guy, because that makes you invested in the person as a wrestler. What you would do then was, I needed a star. Okay, so one person like I did with Ivan, you know, just to get the people in the building, because for whatever reason you want them to be there to see. They're not going to come if you say your main event's going to be Larry Winters against, you know, Johnny Hotbody. You get 30 people from South Philly, but that's Johnny's friends. Right. So Jimmy hadn't been on TV in a little bit. Well, not that long, but you know, it's not long enough that he was still like, ooh, it's fresh. So I talked to Jimmy, and we worked out a deal, and he came in. And my thought process was to make him the first champion so that he could make one of my guys really the first champion. Yes. Never realized at the time that Jimmy was going to become like a lifelong ECW guy. But at the time, he was just going to be for that 1 or 2 shows, because I think we did 2 that weekend, if I'm not mistaken. I'm not sure. And hopefully he was going to make, at that point, I think it was going to be Johnny Hotbody. He was going to be the first one originally. And it turned out to be Sandman, I guess. No?
What is Jimmy being over at this point? Does this speak to Philadelphia or a wrestling city's appreciation for the history of the talent that you bring in?
Absolutely. The Snook and Morocco feud was a sell here. I mean, you couldn't, that's what they all wanted to see. They wanted to see Jimmy come off the top of the cage. I mean, when he did it with
Backlund and then Morocco.
Right. And then Morocco, Backlund first. I mean, that was something people hadn't seen before. Yeah. Everyone was like, whoa.
How was he to do business with, Jimmy?
Well, unfortunately, I had to deal with his wife at the time. Right. Who was a little bit more difficult than Jimmy. But once we got she had to come with him the first time. I didn't pay for her to come in, but she had to come with him the first time. She had to make sure everything was the way she wanted it to be. She was very controlling, I'd say. And but the second time, he was never going to bring her with him again because, he said, "This is cool. We're going to let's chill." And Jimmy and I became really tight. We traveled a little bit together. I could go on about Jimmy another one. I can tell story after story. Jimmy Snook is he's funny and he's fun. But you're gonna get to the sports bars. I'll wait till you get to the sports bar to tell you one of the good Jimmy Snook stories.
He didn't have a late night confession about Nancy Argentina ever at a bar
never
or
discussed
anything
it.
like that. Okay. Wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't ask you that. Snooker defeats Sal Bellomo for the title. Now, the decision to bring him into the company, and you use him pretty prominently early on, came from what?
Well, he was one of the ones, oddly enough, most of the talent, when they find out someone's running shows anywhere, give me the number, give me the number, give me the number, give me the number. So Bellomo contacted me. He said, "Listen, I come from a Jimmy Thorpe. It's only a drive. Right. I don't charge you very much. I'm a Bachigaloop. I'm coming down." So he said, his name I'd heard of. Right. So, sure. You're not going to charge me any trans or any hotel, and you're only this much. Come on down. So because he was the only recognizable name, and he had worked Jimmy before in WWF way back then, it was a natural, to somehow get those two towards the top of the card.
Did he get a pop from the crowd?
Not really. No, not the way you would have thought. Because number one, remember when he's in WWF, he was just clean shaven, wearing the Italian tights, and he came up doing the cartwheels. Now he comes out, he's got a beard like this. Yeah. He's got hair like Bruiser Brody. He was unrecognizable, so that's why he didn't get the pop he would have normally gotten. Although, oddly enough, they would have shit on him just the other way, because the other way was the kind of babyface they all hated here.
But maybe because of the history, would have been over.
It would have gotten the initial...
Closer than the Wolfman thing that he showed up.
It would have been more recognizable. I don't know if it would have been as over.
This is what your plan was all along,
yes.
though, right? Jimmy's there to serve as the conduit for your guy to get over. And Jimmy was fine with this.
100%. And I'll tell you something else. It ties right into Sandman again. It's a true story. I get a phone call. I can't remember who the hell it was. It may have been, I'll tell you who it was. It was the music guy, Steve Truitt. One of the first ones who had come in and asked me to do this promotion. I hear Hacks winning the belt. So I was going to put the belt on Sandman. I said, "Did you?" I said, "I didn't even decide I was getting it. Why did you hear? I don't know where you heard that." He goes, "Well, he told me he was." And I called him up. I said, "Dude, I can't give it to you now." Right. I said, "Everything that I feel about the right way to do things. I'm not saying you're fired or anything, but I can't do that. Right. When you're telling people you're going to win, they all know what's going to happen. When you get there, it takes all the out of the show. You just killed it." "Oh, fucking kill Troy, it's dead. He's dead."
It's Troy's fault.
I said, "Well, really, you're the one who told." Okay, nonetheless, all right, it's all cool. And I love you, Hacky, and I do. I said, "But, I can't put the belt on here." So I put it on Hot Body instead.
Now, you're taking a chance here. This is a tremendous expense, I would imagine.
Again, it didn't cost me a dime.
What?
I got a phone call. In fact, it may have been Gary Wolf who said, "Listen, these people in Japan, they're doing a tour." Or no, Gary Juster.
Oh.
Gary Juster got a hold of me. He goes, "I know you're doing shows. Listen, this Tatsumi wants to come in. They won't cost you a dime. They're going to pay. He's a big international star. They're going to bring him into the sports bars. But the thing is, you have to do it on a Sunday. It's the only days available is this Sunday." I said, "I'll make a Sunday show. Do I care if it's Tuesday or Sunday? Right. If I can draw people, actually get a payday out of some one of these shows, that'd be a nice change of pace." So yeah, they brought him in with interpreters and didn't pay him a dime. He was they were filming it the whole time for their own self. It was his he had lost the title in Japan, and now this was his starting at the bottom again and working his way back up. That's the storyline they're presenting in Japan.
So it was perfect. Your venue was perfect.
Everything was perfect for me. Yeah, it was didn't quite, listen. If they said to me, "You got a $4,000 ticket," I would have said, "Sorry, what?" I thought you said $4,000 ticket. That would never gone past the first 5 words of the conversation.
Remember?
Tommy Cairo contacts me, and he said, I'd love to come work for you, but you don't, instead, do this. I want to bring another guy I want to work with. His name was Damian Stone. And we worked a lot together. Don't have to pass. It's voices the magic words. Well, everybody's looking for work, you know. You don't have to pass. Let us show you what we got. If you like us, then hire us and make us part of your crew. And I said, okay, you know, whatever. I didn't even, just a voice on the phone to me. So I went, whatever, that's fine. So, they came in, and I'm pretty sure, what day did you say it was?
July 14th.
Okay. Before that, at the time I was president of the Variety Club, which is a children's charity. It's an international charity. Local branches, you know, and I was president of Philadelphia, which is $1 million charity here. We serve children children who are physically handicapped, and provide braces and wheelchairs, and it's still a big charity here in the area. We had a 24-hour telethon that Monty Hall used to be the host of and bring celebrity. Anyway, I was the president of this organization. I said I had planned to do a free show for the kids out at the camp. It was a camp and developmental center where these kids their parents get a break for 2 weeks out of a year. The only break they get, where they get to take their kids to camp, and the kids are there overnight for 2 weeks. We're trained, you know, professionals, and the experience is amazing. So I said, I want to give them a free show. I'm going to give them a show. So I told everybody, I want you all to work. I'm not paying you, because I'm not selling a ticket, but I'll remember it. So that was the first show I used Tommy in, because nobody was getting paid that day anyway. They tore the house down. They looked like they'd been doing this, you know, in and out, night around the world for like 5 years. I gave them both jobs out of it.
Why are we going back to snooker?
Where are we at now?
July.
July. I think at that time Jimmy was going to maybe move to the States, closer to the East or something like that, but he was going to be the guy I was going to ride. He was going to be my horse. He was going to be my only, you know, flying kind of talent. But he would stay for like a week or two at a time, so he could be on 2 or 3 shows at a time with me.
Right.
And lessen, you know, the blow of the airfare or whatever.
Where was he at this point? I know he was in
Utah.
Jersey for a long time, so he was in Utah. Okay. Talk to me about the Chestnut Cabaret, Todd. What the hell is the Chestnut Cabaret?
The Chestnut Cabaret was a strip club at 30th and Market Street, about 22 blocks up from Mike Schmidt's bar. It was just a chance to hit a different neighborhood, because I feel like the only people who were drawing here were the people over and over, the same, you know, 80 to 100 people we knew that came to every show from Joel's to whatever. It was that crew. And we had never had a chance to actually expand at all. So this was not really expanding so much, because now it's still a cheap venue where, you know, right. He's just happy to get the drink sales. You know, you use the building for, you know, a nominal fee, $100, and I'll just keep the money from the liquor and right. Food, and you keep the money from the tickets.
Well, the business plan was to expand eventually to Jersey and Delaware, so you went 22 blocks north.
That's correct.
That was step one.
Except. About 2-3 days before the show, I'm getting phone calls, or maybe it was the week of the show, from all these fans. What kind of bullshit is this? We can't go to the show? I said, what do you mean you can't go to the show? It's supposed to be a Saturday afternoon show.
Who's calling you? Who did you say?
Fans.
Oh, fans.
Because they knew it was Carver Reed, or whatever it was, they were calling to Holland. You have to be 21 to get in the place. I go, what do you mean you have to be 21 to get in the place? He never said that to me. So I'm going to was calling. He goes, no, we sell liquor here. No one allowed. I said, can you put bands on the wrist for the? Nope.
Really?
Nobody under 21 gets in. I had about 17 to 20 people there for the first show.
Yeah.
I was dumbfounded. I was that's the first time I ever like really got beat up on a show financially. I mean, I had lost a little bit, made a little bit, but this was, destruction. Yeah. And out of that show, something really funny happened. Paying each guy their $50, $75, $100 for everybody made per show. Last guy in the locker was JT Smith. I go, here, man. He goes, I can't take that. I said, what do you mean you can't take it? He's Todd. No, you're a nice guy, but I can't take your money. You got killed tonight. I wouldn't do that to you. I said, what are you talking about? He ripped the check up. I said, John, are you serious? Absolutely. I hired him that day for my store.
Yeah.
Because that guy, I got to have him work for me in a store. I trust him.
Wow.
And you're working with diamonds with something this big, could be worth, $100,000. You got to be very careful who you hire.
Right.
He had my trust that day. This is a crazy giant club on Delaware Avenue here. And it's indoor and outdoor club. And outdoors they have like 2 stories with these spiraling not
balcony.
Yeah, what do you call it? It's like a guardrail, but it's not a guardrail, it's a fence. And all the way to the bottom down there's a little pool, not very deep, and it's not like a swimming pool, but it's just for decorative purposes. And Jimmy comes up with the idea, brah, how about I do the bump into the pool? I go, are you kidding me? He goes, no, brother, I'm telling you, he knocked me around. I take the bump into the pool. He come in the pool after me, pump, 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 ba-boom, ba-boom.
Jimmy's known for the splash.
Yeah,
so.
AJ says, right, AJ Petruzzi, who's the Super D, says, whatever you say, Jimmy, you're the man, Jimmy, he looked up to Jimmy. He was an answering guy for Vince. So we're in the match, very end of the match, all of a sudden he's at the top of the thing, right, he's supposed to jump, and I see him standing there, he's unlacing his boot, while Jimmy's down there, like, waiting for him, like, you coming? He goes, I go run up there, I go, AJ, what are you doing? He goes, I'm not going to ruin my wrestling boots and get them all wet. I said, oh, AJ. So we sat there for 5 minutes while AJ's unlacing his boots.
Selling in the pool.
Right, Jimmy's still in the pool selling. AJ's unlacing his boots at the top before he goes into the water. I'm like, oh my God. Those were the days.
John Finnegan also takes a spill in the pool here. Here's a fixture all the way through ECW. Talk about John for a minute.
John Finnegan was a fixture through ECW, through PWU, through Jazz. I would never do a show without John Finnegan. I love John Finnegan. He was the most underrated son of a bitch in the history of this business, I swear to God. He was such a good referee, so talented. He could run a dressing room even if he never had the opportunity to. He got the business like nobody. He'd be out there, he knew when it was looking like shit. He said, guys, keep it moving, you're dying out here, you're killing me. He knew how to run the ring. He was like a general in there. And as he got older and more mature, he became more and more like that. He was such a... If you ever watch his expressions, he sells when someone takes a bump. Like he got hurt, phenomenal. He knows the bump's coming, but he looks more shocked than anybody else in the building. Like he's just that good. And it comes natural to him. He was just we had other guys who were referees. No, Molyneux, this one. But Finnegan, I would never want to run a show without Finnegan. He was far and away the finest referee I ever met, and also a fine gentleman. Talk about a talented guy. He could do anybody's voice in the locker room. Hawk, Savage, and you close your eyes, you think they were there. And he was also a talented enough wrestler that he could do their moves too. And I've wanted to have somebody do this gimmick since this is before ECW, before you even,
right,
where somebody who could do that would keep getting knocked out, and ended up doing Matt Striker eventually, but
right,
and wake up and think he was that other person. And I said, Terry, because he's going to go to Vince and say, you've got to do this. You've got to go in there and say, this is the gimmick. You wrestle Savage as Savage. You wrestle Rude as Rude. it's a natural for you. Of course, you know, he just got there. He didn't want to say too much about anything, you know, impresses, you know.
It became paltry.
Yeah, but meanwhile, what he did do, and I guess I should have taken it as a comment at the time, I was insulted by it and angry by it, but that's so stupid. I was drawing 220 people, and they're drawing 20,000. But the last show I was there, that show, I did an angle which I had never seen done before. Okay? I had Hot Body against Stetson, a long-running feud. Match ends, double DQ, they fight to the back. Bob Ortiz, the ring announcer, nobody knows what's going to happen here. He announces the next match. Ladies and gentlemen, next match is a tag team match. Tag team. They got 3-4 minutes into the match. And everybody's completing the match. They come back out of the dressing room. Hot Body's got a toilet seat around his neck going, and the place went nuts. And I knew it would if only I could have done it on a grander scale. Doesn't he go to WWF, and 2 weeks later on Monday Raw, Flair and Hennig did it.
Right.
I call it Terry, his Todd. Come on. It was look at the reaction. That's not an insult to you. That's a comment to you. You did it in front of 200, and he was right. And I got my panties in a bunch at 1 minute. I was like, how do you do that? My angle was just Todd. Nobody's angle anymore. His angle's been done. Right. Everybody's got, you know, has a carte blanche to it, and he was right.
That's true.
But it's only 2 weeks later. I said, damn, you know, I did it in front of 200 people. There's like 15,000 people popping for this angle. It's like, I don't know. That was something that was. I love doing something that hadn't been done before. That was very important to me.
Yeah.
Every now and then when I could.
Now, him against Snuka, no mistake here that they're, no coincidence here, I should say, they're rekindling their WWE feud. And
Morocco came to me because he was friendly with Bob Ortiz from when he had worked for Joel Goodhart. And they became friends. I guess he stayed at Bob's house because Joel couldn't afford hotel rooms. And Bob says to me, Todd, Morocco really wants to come in. His wife works for the airlines. So his airline, all his flying is free. You never buy him a ticket. All you gotta do is pay him. What does he want? You know, I get 2 shows that weekend. What do you do for it? And by the way, at this time, or not, like even the biggest stars like Morocco, none of them get more than $500 for a show. Like today, you know, middle stream TV guys are getting $1,000 or $1,500 in the independent circuit.
Right.
But back then it was, you know, so if you get them for like $700 for 2 shows, I always try to combine the two. Now it sort of paid for itself a little bit, and they were draws. And Morocco and Snuka, come on, absolute draws. Sure. But and when he came in, he would stay at Bob's, so I didn't pay for his hotel room either.
So this would have been, you knew even at this point that you could comfortably put the title on him because he's someone you'd be able to use again and again. Okay.
Again, my idea being, though, he was going to give it to Sandman. I had always had planned the beach bum and the Sandman.
Right.
That was going to be my natural transition there.
Gotcha.
And sadly enough, when it's supposed to happen, Peaches, his wife, is supposed to throw powder in Morocco's face. Peaches is holding the thing in her hand for like God knows how long now. Her hand's sweating like a pig. She throws it, it just goes, shh, and Morocco goes, oh my God. It was the worst finish. I thought, he's a pro. He should have known not to sell that. Come on, like alternative in the ring, call something else. Right. Oh my God. I mean, the fans are like, really, Morocco? Because 200 people to hear a word that we said. Are you kidding me? Oh God.
There weren't a lot of mixed tags back at this time. Mm-hmm. What was your decision to do that? Did you think that it had the potential, A, to come off as too hokey? If
there was a stripper named Tigra.
Yes, there was.
She worked at
the cabaret.
The cabaret.
Yes.
She's a cabaret. She said, I want to do this. I want to do this. Like, you know, I want to be part of it. Like, I like this. So I came up with the idea of putting her with JT. And since Sandman already had Peaches, because Sandman and JT had a feud going all the way back in the TWA days. They worked together a lot. I thought they could like coach the girls through it and you let them rumble around. Guys always like when there's the cat fight, obviously, and so that was the thought behind bringing her in.
The male on female violence, which happened in ECW down the road, which today would be a big deal and wasn't a big deal then. Was it on your mind that it could potentially be a big deal?
In terms of
men hitting women
negatively, you mean?
Yes.
No. Okay. It was a work. They weren't. I mean, you know, when Tommy Dreamer lifts Francine up and her skirt comes down, everyone's looking at her panties and goes to give her a pile driver. He's not going to put her head through the mat. He's going to protect
the perception
her.
of.
But that was what made it shocking.
Right.
The idea was, I mean, anybody could do what's been done over and over and over again. How do you get them? The only way I can think of is to give them something they haven't seen before. Like, wait, did you see that? He just hit a girl. Well, something different happened at that show they had never seen before. Right. That's what I was shooting for there. I had never, first of all, I didn't know I was going to take a backbreaker. How about that? All right. So we're talking about this. We want to turn Jimmy heel. Was he champ then? No.
No, this was going to be the turn, and no, it was Morocco, and Morocco went over Snuka that night as well.
Okay, so we're turning Jimmy heel because now Morocco was a baby face at this point, I guess. And how do we turn him heel? Well, he could beat up all the wrestlers in the back, and everybody would go like, "Yes, you're God, Snuka." I mean, at that time, you know, there was nobody there that he could take out that would be shocking. I had never been touched in the ring. No one ever put their hands on me at that point. You know, we're doing I don't know how many shows at this point. I said, well, how about this? And I came up with this idea. I said, how about we pretend, you know, this guy's he's going to hit me. You save me. I go, that's right, my man. And it turns out then you hit me. And I think he's just going to hit me. You know, I'm not going to do the hit, lay down. That's going to be the end of it. So I don't remember how he did it, but I think he hit me. I went down. I was like, I'm going up in the air. I'm going up in the air. He just pulled me right in the air. I mean, I weighed a lot less then, but still, he just and did it. And I think he did it a second time. And okie dokie. I said, he's climbing the ropes. He's supposed to just hit me the one time. He's climbing the ropes. I go, I'm gonna die now. I closed my eyes literally as he was coming off that top rope. I said, oh God, don't let me die in this. I'm going, did he do it yet? Did he do it yet? That's how light Jimmy Snuka is. I was amazed. I said, I'm laying there and I'm selling like, oh my God, I can't believe it's over. Like not a feather touched me.
Right.
And I'm watching on video, and it looks like he's stomach to stomach with me. And he never touched me. I mean, it looks like he came right there. He was that talented.
Among the people that do come out in the fracas that Snuka attacks, one of them is the Metal Maniac.
Yes, the Metal Maniac was basically Jimmy's laundress. You know, he traveled around with him and did his laundry for him, washed his underwear since the wife wasn't traveling with him anymore. And then Jimmy would get him put on shows and like an extra. Nice enough guy, but I'll tell you one of my favorite Jimmy Snuka stories. We're at that very building, the Chestnut Cabaret. We're sitting in the dressing room, and he goes, "Kid." And the Maniac's like, yeah, Jimmy. And he goes, "Kid, you get some color tonight." He goes, "Want me to color?" He goes, yeah. You know, color. He goes, "Don't worry, I'll zip you." He's like, "You sure, Jimmy? I mean, there's only like 200 people out there." He goes, "Come on." He goes, "Ivan," because I was on that same show. "Uncle Ivan, you got a blade on you?" They see call off like this. And he must have already given him the Iggy because you know call off. Because I just got one, but it's rusty. So now you see Maniacs going like, "Oh fuck." He doesn't look like a pussy around the whole dressing room. You know, Jimmy, maybe we should build up to something like that. You know what I'm saying? We can make a whole angle. He goes, "No, brother, trust me. This is the way to do it, brother." So like I said, he goes, "Ivan," he goes, and he had nothing in his hand. He goes, "Right." "Yeah, we good, brother, we good." Now this kid's shooting bullets all night long. We got to the ring, and after they were here with him, Jimmy goes with his fingernail, and he goes, "Here, my bleeding." He goes, "Break down, brother, break down." He went, trying to make the blood come out. He never was cut. He doesn't know he's not cut. So he's going, brother, bite down. He's going, Instead of himself, he's got like constipation. I mean, I was in the audience watching this because I knew it was coming. I couldn't wait to see the spot. I almost fell out of my chair. I was laughing so hard. He's just sitting there all by himself alone in the ring going, trying to make it trickle down. And Jimmy's like trying not to laugh in the ring. Oh, God.
Fantastic.
True story.
You have all-time Philly sportscaster and actually WWF announcer for the Spectrum shows, Dick Graham. Mm-hmm. How does that come about?
Dick Graham came about because we were going to go get TV. And I needed somebody, to play-by-play, and his experience. He and Cal Rudman, and we're doing all the Spectrum shows. Cal Rudman I knew through the charity. He was on my board of directors at the Variety Club. Okay. He had this thing called the Monday Morning Quarterback. It was a musical for the music industry. And Cal was like a big name in the music industry. Like if he said you're a hit, it's gonna be a hit. That's it. Yeah. He would listen to a rock and roll record. Kid, it's got to be a hit. He was an older guy too.
He was a radio guy, right?
No, he had a sheet, a music sheet, like you would have like a dirt sheet.
Like a newsletter.
Something like that, yeah. But whatever, and he would just say this is going to be good. And whatever he said, that's really what the stations all followed. You play that record because Cal told them to.
Oh wow.
It was that kind of thing. And
how does he find wrestling?
He liked it, like anybody else. From the time I'm this big, 5 years old, it's either in you or it's not. It's as simple as that. Sure. Some people are going to go, what kind of garbage is this? Even when they're kids. And some people are like, this is freaking awesome. Yeah. I had my father going, how do you watch that crap? He's not really throwing salt in his eyes. I go, yes, he is. Tanaka's throwing salt in his eyes. You crazy? Leave me alone. Kill Fuji. That kind of thing. And he would say, I can't stand it. You watch that stuff. We'd fight about it. It's either in you or it's not.
So Cal becomes a board member of the
He's a board member of Variety Club.
Organization.
Variety Club. And then he says to me, I hear you're doing wrestling. Does that mean to come? I said, he was the weak link there, so to speak, in that little Prism on Prism TV. And I said, well, let's use Dick Graham. Is he a local guy? He goes, yeah, he's ready. I can give you his number. So I called him up. He goes, I'd love to do it. Wow. But then he was going to go like, even then, because again, we weren't even really hardcore yet, but we were doing some things. And he was like, I don't think I've ever seen that before. He was a little taken aback, but he did it. He did a nice job for a little while.
You decide to keep this going. Why? Just to feed into the heeldom?
Because really he did not have any strong enough baby faces that the crowd would get behind. At the time, the people who were the fans of the promotion, who not only started with Joel, but even the newer ones we brought along as we were starting to grow a little bit, they were so thankful and appreciative of this promotion. I can't put it into words or do it justice. What it's like to walk out of a show and people running over saying, thank you. Thank you. Oh my God. There was so much more enjoyable than anything I've seen on TV now in the last 6 months or the last year. That was a thank you. Because you don't know what it means to us to have a promotion like this, and it's in our backyard. It's everything. And they were so behind everything that they were, I was like their big baby face.
What's the makeup of the fans at this point? I'm assuming it's not the bloodthirsty bingo hall dwellers.
Well, so some of them were. Yeah. I mean, there were some of them, like I guess Hat Guy, people like that who ended up in the front row who were there from day one. Were there from before I even started. It wasn't until people started trading tapes that really jumped it up. But at this time, I was sadly enough like probably our biggest baby face, even though I wasn't a worker or working in the ring. So in order to make him more heelish at that time, because no one ever hit authority figures yet. I mean, that hadn't been done yet with Vince or Bischoff or anybody. That gave it more of a, oh my God, kind of feeling in the audience, as long as we didn't overdo it.
The heel chant that we began to hear here is Piper, Piper, when Snook is out there. It's inconceivable that you didn't give any thought to bringing in Roddy Piper.
I called Roddy Piper. Are you kidding me? I said, Roddy, listen, I got Snuka Morocco here. You know, who's missing from this picture? It's got to be you. I'd love to bring you in. What would you be, you know, what kind of money would you be looking for to be willing to come do it? And he was still pretty healthy then. Mm-hmm. And he said to me, Todd, let me tell you something. I don't know you, you don't know me, but you got two of the best in the business there right now. I'm an expense you don't need, and to be honest with you, you can't afford. Because I live in Portland, tickets going to cost X amount of dollars to come back and forth. I'm going to want this amount to work. You know, I know independent shows draw, I know what they bring in money-wise, because, you know, it's just a loss leader. You're just going to lose your ass if you do that. Right. Because, but you got two of the top guys, he said to me, so stick with them and run with them.
Let's go into fantasy for a minute. What would he have wanted? What would have?
I think they were getting, like I said, $400 to $500 a shot, and he was looking for, like, you know, $1,500 back then, and that was back then.
Right.
But he was the #1 star, you know, out of the WWF back then, as big as Hogan was. So. I got a call from a guy named Matt Radico. He was the guy who filmed our TV and all the pilot and everything else up until the time when we brought in the guys from New York as we really got big, Ron and Charlie. He said to me, Todd, he goes, you don't know me, and I do camera work, I shoot shows. No, he was my camera guy doing tapes, actually. We were selling the tapes at the little shows, bar shows. You know, the old VHS, you know,
yeah,
whatever, sure. And he said, a guy named Sam Schroeder, somebody I had met or I know, and he's the new person, head of programming at Sports Channel Philadelphia. And he needs content. You know, they're just starting this new network. He wanted to know if we would be interested. I said, would we be interested in having a TV show? Are you shitting me? Yeah, we'd be interested. He goes, all right, well, he wants us to do a pilot. All right, where can we do a pilot? So we knew every time we ran Tabor was a youth association, you know, boys club, and Frank Talent, who was one of the commissioners here for years, wrestling commissioner, athletic commissioner, had been contacting me about doing shows there, and I think I had done one other show there before that. So we said, you guarantee me I'm going to have 800 people there. You know, that's what I need for a crowd, for a TV taping. Sadly, there were no bleachers, so it was all flat seating, so it didn't really have that aesthetic look to it. But we did about 8-10 matches, and we were going to take the best 4 or whatever. You know, the hardest thing was explaining to these guys who've never done anything for TV before, because they're all, you know, indie guys, other than, you know, a Snuka or a Morocco, that, hey, it's got to be in and out, including your entrances, 10 minutes. And they're used to going out there and just taking the microphone and talking for half an hour before they even get started, like a super. I said, no. And so that was hard. So the ones who didn't do it, they didn't make the cut. You know, I wasn't going to edit the matches. We just went with whatever we had. And so we took the matches that fit, and there were one angle at the end, as you said, and we made the pilot, and he said, you know, can we start next week kind of thing, or next month or whatever. I said, yeah, let's do it.
Jay Sully and Stevie Wonderful you have on commentary. Why that choice?
Stevie Wonderful was the music guy, and we were using him as a heel manager at the time also. Yes. Jay Sully, just, I don't remember how we got him to how he ended up becoming an announcer. I really don't even remember that at all. He was friends with Matt Radico, I think. And he said, just try him out. So we tried it out. You know, he seemed to be calling the moves, you know, amateurishly, but still well enough to better than somebody else who didn't know what they're doing. You know, like he said, everything was a big right hand. It's a big leg drop. What do you call that? I call it. I remember with Paulie. What do you call that, Paulie? Paulie would say, punch to the face. What do you call it? Like, you know, well, everything was a big everything with it. But so he was very over the top.
Eddie Gilbert would torment him for years, bringing the booze. Did he have a drinking problem, first of all?
Never, no, he did not.
Okay.
Didn't even drink. However, at our first TV taping, Eddie came in now before we started the TV.
Right.
That's when I hired him to book. I brought him up here from Tennessee, and he helped me create the whole, you know, television show, and he'd be in the studio for, you know, editing it with Radico, et cetera. And the very first show we did, all I remember is he was coming up to, it was Snuka, Morocco, Eddie Gilbert, Paulie, I don't know if there's a fifth person or not, I can't remember the original grouping. They just, listen guys, just so you know, at the end of the show when you win the bell, like, don't get this tux wet.
Oh.
This is our first thing. Whatever you do, don't get this wet because I rented it or expensive, whatever it was. So of course, within seconds, he looked like he was a drowned. I mean, he didn't even finish a sentence. And they're, hey, Jay Sully. The whole man, what's he gonna do? Say something to Mariah? He's huge. And he's gonna, he's like, he learned a lesson that day. Don't ever do that because man, you're just asking for it. And then we started coming up with then he came with the drinking idea, and then we eventually get to the arena, get to the battle royal where he came out as a all-female battle royal. And he came out in a swimsuit with a big duck around him, and the booze, and it just got funnier and funnier. I was contacted by them. They wanted to do a show. They bought that show.
Oh.
God, amazing. Imagine, you're going to get a profit ahead of time. Like, here's what we have to spend. Really? I don't have to worry about how many people come in. I get this amount. All right, so all I have to do is spend less than this amount and I make money. Ah, what a novel concept. So I knew what I was getting paid for the show, and I knew what my budget was, so I wanted to bring another name in. So Davey was, I don't know where he was passing, going to be in the area, whatever it was going to be. So we got Davey to do the show with us, yeah.
We're in December now, so we're at the end of the year. We're about to go into 93, which is going to be a huge transition year for this company.
To say the least.
Are you anticipating big things in 93 at this point? Can you
Not
see the
big.
future a little bit?
What I'm seeing is the future. So I'm trying to grow a company now to make it a new Memphis area territory. I'm thinking in my mind, this is going to be the new Memphis. On Saturdays, everybody's going to come to the TV studio, where we do it at, and they're going to be just like that. The old NWA shows were, in the studio there, where people were like wild and loud, but there was hardly anybody there. It didn't matter because it was,
Right.
The only one to do was give them a good TV show. And that was my thought process then, that I was going to do something that's going to be in the tri-state area, basically, and try to make it something that, would be, we could go eventually to state. That was the big grand concept.
First of all, talk about some history with you and Dennis. There's an area rivalry, right?
There's an area rivalry because he had the rivalry with Joel. Right. He and Joel were the Jersey and Philadelphia promoters who did not get along, didn't like each other, et cetera, et cetera. So when I took over, we had no, animosity between us. We had no hostility. We're just wary, like he was wary of me, I was wary of him. He didn't know, he couldn't quite figure me out who this guy is. Coming in now from the jewelry business. Now he's starting his ride. I'm a promoter. Who's this guy coming in? So he's a little bit wary. And then they were doing this big giant show, and they said, we'd like to use your local promotions too. And so they wanted Dennis to give him like a match or two. They wanted us to give him a match or two, which we were going to do. And that's where we were hoping to maybe start an angle that would eventually build up the two things. But then right off the bat, here it is the first week, we're ready, week of the show, night of the show, I remember he says to me, yeah man, what do we do? Don't tell Larry Sharp how many people paid. I said, what do you mean, it's your partner? He goes, yeah, but I don't want to know what's going on. He didn't want to do this. He does a bad idea, and I don't think he lost money. So this man, whatever you do, come on man, seriously, let's not tell Larry anything. Let's not even know Larry, he's your partner. I mean, I don't think I said to ever met the guy. If I had, I didn't remember. I said, wow. So that's my initial meeting with this guy. I said, yeah.
It was like that Sandman moment. And the Sandman was banned from the bar, and night one with Dennis, he's trying to fuck his partner in front of you, using you to do it.
This used me not to blow it for him.
So what would happen from here on out as you two are working?
Well, let me just tell you one thing about that show.
Yeah.
There's one story out of that show it was the last time Kerry Von Erich ever worked.
That's correct.
There was a convention earlier in the day. Well, a lot of stars coming in. That's how they put the show together. How we could, Sullivan was going to be there, this one's going to be that. And for some reason, Sullivan had some kind of heat with the police. I don't know what it was, but they were looking for him. And if you know anything about Kevin Sullivan, they hadn't got the P out yet. He was already on a plane somewhere going. He was just disappeared. He was out of town. Nancy stayed, his wife, but Kevin, gone. So they got Kerry, whoever it was that got Kerry, they brought Kerry in to take his place. So we stayed over and over again. All right, we're running the show now. I said, listen, Kerry, you're going to be the big surprise because they're going to be upset that Sullivan's not there. He's over up here. So wear a hood. Don't, Nancy's gonna come out and say, my husband, here's what I got instead. You pull that hood off the plate, it's gonna go, boom. Got it. So he's standing back to, all right, ready, I'm ready to go. The hood carrier, So he goes back, gets the hood, he puts the hood on. He's just about to go out. He grabs his ring jacket. It says Kerry on the back. And he goes marching to the ring with the ring jacket. It says Kerry across the back. And I looked at Carluzzo. We both went, even he was like, are you kidding me? Really?
That was Kerry.
And then he died like 2 days later. That's when I met Eddie.
I was just going to say, meeting Eddie, and then also, I mean, Terry would become an ECW fixture.
Correct.
So this is kind of prophetic in a way. Talk about that.
Well, I really didn't get to spend a lot of time with Terry yet, who to this day is one I adore. But Eddie, and I got talking this and that. And Eddie's smart. He's got, he just watch. He knows. He goes, I hear you're getting TV. Who are you going to do the book? Who's going to book the TV for you? I said, well, I guess I would. Just like I did the shows. He goes, what do you go to the studio every week? And I went, ugh. So now I'm running a business still. This is my bread and butter. It's going to support this wrestling habit I can develop here. I went, oh. I realized that, yeah, I'm going to have to be in the studio a whole day, during the week in order to get that show. I couldn't do that. So I needed somebody who could. And he goes, I did TV in Alabama. I did TV here. I know how to do it. I can break it up into 4 segments. And that's when I decided to take over the book. Or that's when I offered Eddie the book. And he moved up here from Tennessee. And of course, one of the first people he wanted to bring up was Funk, because that was his, he wanted to play off of that feud they had going leading up to that. And Terry was going to come in and do the color commentary for the first TV taping. Not the pilot now. Now we got to go. Mm-hmm. Here you go. Give us a show. So now Terry goes to do that, and I said, Terry, are you really interested in maybe I hadn't hired Eddie as booker yet. I think Eddie was just talent then. And I think I asked Terry if he wanted the job of being the. You can't afford me, Todd. You can't afford. No. I can do it, but you can't afford. I said, okay, I appreciate that. And I'll never forget the first taping we did. We had to douse Sully and the whole thing, and the water was got him soaking wet in his tuxedo. I'm standing up there. You can watch the very first episode of ECW, the first premiere episode. I'm beaming like a kid who just got laid for the first time. He goes, well, it's a great show, right, Terry? He goes, well, it'll get better. This is the ending of my first TV show. He's going, don't worry, it'll get better. And I went, oh, God, did he just say that on TV? I was like, still smiling the whole, wow. That's a true story.
That's so Terry. What philosophical discussions do you have to have with Eddie Gilbert before entrusting him with booking the company? I mean, are you just kind of letting him go with his ideas, or is there a lot of consultation?
I was hanging out with Eddie after work every day. We'd sit down, and he was always the notebooks and the paper, and he goes, here's what I'm thinking about. We'd start out, we do a tournament. Forget everything else in the past. Let's name a new champion. Let's get a tournament for a championship. We can do, we'll do seedings and go on TV the first couple of weeks. That's how you get the TV off the ground. The first couple of weeks we'll do, 8 against 1, 7 against 2, and then the second week we'll do this. And he already had laid it out. When I saw the organizational skills, I said, all right, I'm going to bring this guy in full time. Because he was organized, and the Demons really, while they were there, they weren't even close to eating him up yet.
Okay.
So he was a different person at the very beginning.
So between February and April, is it just organizational time, writing TV?
I think it was that. It was also we're setting up a studio out where Radico was, and we also we had taped at the first taping, a couple weeks worth of TV. And that time of year, it's a tough time of year because of the weather.
Yeah.
In fact, we had 30 inches of snow the day of
That would have been March 12th.
Yep.
At Cabrini College.
Cabrini College,
Yeah.
30 inches of snow. So I had my first TV 4 or 5 shows where there was literally, we're grabbing people off the streets and saying, do me a favor, come in and all sit in this one section together so we can just keep the hard camera there the whole time. And guys, keep working to that side of the ring. At least look like somebody's in the damn building. And the guy doesn't tell me when I'm making the arrangement for Cabrini, I'm talking to the head of the athletic director, who's also the head basketball coach, and he's saying, yeah, this is going to be great. You know, we'll bring you in the gym. They put the paper down for the guardrails. Cabrini went on college, went on spring break 2 days before that. The campus was empty. I got a college campus full of kids here, and I'm going to like tear the place up. I got 30 inches of snow and not a kid on campus. Not one student on campus, other than a few stragglers who stayed around for the show because they were hardcore fans. I said, you know, what am I doing here? It's been one bad thing after another. Meanwhile, the people who were there are so loyal. I mean, you couldn't go anywhere. Let me buy you dinner. No, I'm fine. They were so appreciative, and I felt like I had tapped into something, but I just didn't know what it was yet. It was so small still.
In regards to the TV production, is Sports Channel helping you with production costs?
Nothing.
No.
I'm just sending them a tape every week.
So the production costs are on you. They're buying a weekly show from you.
They weren't buying it.
You're just filling a slot.
I'm giving a slot because I'm getting the promotion out of it.
Right.
They told me I had to use, I'd never done TV. They said you need 12 minutes of commercials an hour. You don't have 40 minutes. That's the FCC laws. So those 12 minutes of commercials for the first, whatever, were 10 minutes of ECW commercial. We had nobody else to put on there, so except for like a solo flex or something, like, whoever is going to let you come on, and they pay you for how many calls they get. So they would go on any show. And the rest of us go, hey, buy our hats, hey, like this t-shirt, us doing our own commercials. Post-production.
Are they giving you the facility to do this?
This was all done in Matt's little studio in a little office, like underground, in a slew of office buildings. It's just a little tiny little basement, which is the same thing we used at ECW as it grew, by the way. You see a lot of those sequences to the ring, to dressing rooms. That was Matt's little studio. That was his bathroom right there.
Right.
I mean, that's where Teddy and Johnny came out of. They're coming to the ring, like they were in his bathroom waiting for the cue.
Right.
And in his parking lot, we were doing angles with Jason running people over. I mean, it was all done like.
Right.
But the magic of television, man.
Yeah.
You can make anything look like anything. No, I'm serious. You can make anything look like anything.
Sure.
And it looked like that's where Joey Styles was broadcasting from.
We talked a little bit about Eddie as a booker, but talk about his work in front of the camera for you guys.
He was an amazing talent. He could take a mic and without missing a breath, much like Paulie, he could talk for 15 minutes.
Right.
And all relevant. He'd get off, a little bit, just being funny, but all germane to what's going on. I mean,
Right.
And his in-ring work, he was a bump machine. He was when he was a job guy. He was as he grew through the business. He could take bumps. He was just phenomenal. He's not afraid to get, a lot of color. He could be hardcore, as evidenced by him and Cactus Jack. I'd seen back with TWA. And he was a great guy out of the ring. He was fun to be with. We had such a good time together hanging out. Eddie and I we became really tight for a while there.
What about his pairing with Snuka?
That was all done because I think anybody who was a name, he wanted a part of his group. It just was going to be that way. He didn't want to have one guy that they don't deal with. Let's placate him. I guess in his mind, let's placate him by putting them all in the main faction. Paulie, him, and their guys. And he brought Paulie in too, who's going to be doing the interviews and helping him do the guys doing interviews.
Now that you're on TV, why'd you go with Jimmy?
Because now it's time to elevate things. Now we're on TV. You're on TV and you go, ladies and gentlemen, Glenn Osborne. Ladies and gentlemen, Jimmy Superfly Snuka. What do you think's going to be, whoa, Snuka. Remember, he used to go off the cage on Mariah. People watch that, they're like, oh, now what's he doing? They're not changing the channel when Jimmy's there. Right. Glenn's on there, they're going, never heard of the guy. What else is on? it was important to have some kind of a name value now that we're on TV that people recognize, and they said, oh, this is a big deal. It's not like some little junkie. This is not some like indie 2-bit show. This is like real stars.
Right.
Like, holy shit, there's Roy Hawker, there's, Suka, there's Morocco, there's Paul Lee and Eddie Gilbert, and, these are real names. Put them all together, I wouldn't think that was a great idea, but I was bowing deference to his knowledge of the business. Not that all of his decisions were done for the good of the company. Some of them may have been done for the good of himself, but listen, I learned every step of the way through this business. There were a million things I still hadn't learned yet. Believe me, I learned them as I went along.
Right.
The key was not to ever make the same mistake twice, and hopefully I didn't.
He's, I think, at 19 maybe, or here, or 20?
Yeah, he was young. He was a young kid. He was getting ready to go to Smoky Mountain, I believe. And Tammy was local in more ways than one. And I guess he started dating her, and so she brought him with him. And they put him in the ring, and another bump machine. Oh my God, could he bump?
Yeah.
And Eddie knew him, and Eddie was, I think, trying to get with Tammy. And so the easiest way to do that is just bring them in. And he was only there for, like I said, a drink of milk, and then he was off to Smoky Mountain.
The Suicide Blondes team, who comes up with that? Is that an Eddie thing?
The Suicide Blondes was, I don't remember who came up with that. I remember thinking that I wanted Johnny, that he had an idea, especially Chris Michaels was blonde hair, and Candido. I said, and we knew Candido was going to leave, and I said, hey, let's put Hot Body. The Suicide Blondes was jet black hair, because the key to me always has been not only the violence, but the comedy was equally important to us. And it became much more so when Paulie and I got together, because then we were just come up with what, it was just bang, 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 and till we couldn't, we take it to the nth degree, that had to dial it back a little bit, but it was just, so that kind of thing, like, he's gonna come out and be the Suicide Blondes, the black hair. That whole, like, the dichotomy was, to me, was funny. It also made them more interesting.
How does Paul Heyman come into this company?
Quietly.
It's the only thing he's ever done quietly.
Yes. Eddie brought him in. He was a friend of Eddie's. He said, this guy's, I'd seen him on TV as a manager. He started about the phone gimmick, the whole thing. And he brought him in. He says, he's really good with interviews. If you let him coach these guys, these young kids who've never done an interview other than what they thought was an interview, they're going, I'm going to kill you. Let him, he's the right guy to do this. Right. So that was his job. He would stay in the back and help these guys. And then when he come to the ring for his match or whatever with Eddie or whoever, but for the most part, he was just going to be a background, piece.
What'd you think of his work on screen here in the first year of the company, just as an on-screen talent?
He was tremendous. I mean, you put a microphone in Paul Heyman's hand, and you just sit back and enjoy the show. He can make you care. He can make you love. He can make you hate. He can take you and put you into the story and say, like, this guy thinks and he'll put out a storyline for you where the wrestlers don't even have to say a word. Like, they're just ready to go wrestle now because he's already given you the entire layout of what's going on by his verbiage and how he uses the microphone. He's
initially brought in to be Eddie's assistant booker, or is this something that develops after?
No, he was never an assistant booker.
Oh, okay.
Not at all. He was
not helping Eddie in any way at this point.
He was just doing the mic. He was doing the mic work. That's all.
Nothing creatively.
No.
Okay.
Eddie said to me, listen, this guy sucks. I said, no, he doesn't. He goes, Todd, this guy sucks, the commentator. I go, yeah, but he's he's one of the first ones to come to me. One of the reasons I started the company. He goes, yeah, because he had speakers. He goes, come on, you got to think now. You got to think differently. You can't think that you owe this guy something because he was there at the beginning. I said, but I'm loyal that way. I feel badly. Here, I says, we got to do something for him. And so, without explaining anything, they said somebody out, Paul came out and said, "Oh, they need you in the back, Stevie." He had no idea why. He goes, "Me?" He goes, "Yeah." So he goes to the back, and there's Eddie Poliato, and he's going, "Hey, Stevie, come over here." This is Paul's doing color commentary. Stevie never comes back out again.
This is at the time of Viking Hall,
correct.
Right? How do you find Viking Hall?
Johnny Hotbody said, "Yo, this is South Philly. This guy, fucking Butchie. You gotta be fucking Butchie. He's got a big building we can do shows in." I said, "What?" All right. I met him coming down here to work one day. "Hey, you're done. I'm looking Butchie, man." I said, "Hey, what's up?" He goes, "Come on up to my office, okay? Let's talk." I said, "Okay." I go, "Oh, how do I get up there?" He goes, "Come here." He takes his little lamp things, hold the lamp thing, and there's literally planks across completely empty, space. And I'm walking a plank to get up to the offices for the Vikings.
Was it there? What was the?
No, it was up there.
Okay.
It was where their offices were. It was their clubhouse was. They had a nice bar and clubhouse up there too. Boy, oh my God. Although I guess all the mummers must, but I had never been inside the mummers like that before. And that's how I had to go. I mean, every time you had to go up there, you had to go up these steps like this, and then it was like tightrope walking to get in there. I'm carrying my briefcase. I'm going, oh my God, I'm dead. And he's popping right up there. He's done this 1,000 times, and I'm going, trying to get into this guy's office. And Butchie's, to this day, even though he doesn't have to run the building anymore, he's a part owner in it. I was ready to go to court to testify for him as a character witness because he had a real problem in the law a year and a half ago, which is all over TV here in Philadelphia, where he ended up shooting somebody actually, but possibly justified. And the point is that he is now done, it's over, he's good, didn't go to jail, no problem. But I'm still friendly with him to this day. See, all the originals, the real originals, not the ones who say they're the originals because they came around 2 years later.
Right.
But any of the real first people that are in this grouping right here, you're talking about when they opened this building,
yeah,
that was a family. And stayed a family. The fact that I'm still talking to Butchie today, not that I ever see him, but he called on me. He said, "Tod,
yeah,
can you help me out here? And I need a character witness. I know you were the charity head. I did a lot of, I built some stuff for the kids at the charity. I did, gratis." I said, "Yeah, you did." He said, "Would you tell?" I said, "Sure, I would." But that grouping still, to this day, minus half of them that are gone.
Did you have to make any changes to start running shows here, or you just?
We had to put the buckets down when the rain came in.
Right.
And from what I understand, it's not far removed from that still to this day. They would, every time I meet with the building owner, don't worry, it's Eli. Don't worry, we're fixing the roof Thursday. This went on for 8 years, and they were always fixing the roof. But meanwhile, every time it rained, there were the buckets all around ringside, and you couldn't put seats here. It was just what it was. But the beauty of Butchie was, I said, he's seeing this product that's insane. And I said, and the first time something got broken, like a dressing room, a door here or a door, all right, man, I'll fix the hole in the wall, fuck the place up. As long as you pay for it, it's all yours. I'll just, put up some more sheetrock tomorrow, and we call it drywall.
Drywall,
yeah. And I said, all right. So we had carte blanche, and from that point on, boom. It was that really crazy.
This becomes your home.
Yeah.
Was it the regulars that made it home, or was there anything special about working the venue, the amount of size, or was it entirely the people?
It was all the people.
Yeah.
Those same people were so diehard, were such a part of the product that there were times we'd go to other places, other areas, and the people in the front row would dress like the fans in the front row here. They'd have a sign guy dude, they'd have a hat guy. They became, they didn't even realize it, but they were becoming their own cult heroes too. They were so enmeshed and integrated in the product. I'd never seen anything like this before. This is why I thought for sure we've tapped into something I've never seen anything like this before. The people were they're lining up outside of this building, 2, 3 o'clock in the afternoon for an 8 o'clock show at night. And it's 15 degrees outside, it's snowing, and they didn't care. It was their lives too.
We're going to do a walkthrough with you of the building later as a special feature, but take me back here. If I were to walk in that back door of what was the ECW Arena at the time, what would I be seeing? What would I see? What would be happening in the locker dressing area?
Well, first of all, you couldn't get in that way. There wasn't a door there.
Oh, so you guys all came in front
There was
too?
a ramp that came up from there.
Oh, okay.
And then there was the front door over here.
Okay.
That they made a new. That's all new. That level.
Right.
That was a big giant.
So if I came in
the
the back, what would be happening?
There'd be a loading ramp. You come up the loading ramp. There's all that.
Who's around? Well, who's doing what? Who's doing who?
Well, because of what you were talking about.
That's true.
I mean, we used to love the fact that the Vikings were part of the Mummers Day Parade. For people who don't know what that is, it's a giant history parade in Philadelphia. It's been going on forever. Brilliant costumes, brilliant props, and floats. It's an amazing parade. Right, Philadelphia only tradition, every year January 1st. So they would build their props for like 8-9 months back there to make these things float, to make these floats and all, which is right where we could hide and smoke our pot back there. And then Butchie would come back and he'd go, "Hey, Don, I think somebody smoking some shit back there." I said, I got it, Butchie, I got it. I go back there, "Here, give me it." All right, put this shit out. We go back out there. Butchie, then we all come back out and go, "I got it." He's like, "All right, good, it's good. It's like that, so.
We should have brought Butchie. It sounds like I want Butchie to sit here with us.
First of all, his name is fucking Butchie. No one in Philadelphia ever called him Butchie. I swear, raise my hand to God. Ask any of the wrestlers. Everybody who worked here in the building is people. Yo, fucking Butchie. Yo, ask fucking Butchie. He'll tell you. Like, that was his name. I never heard anyone call him Butch or Butchie. Always fucking Butchie. He was the first person to say to me, like, "Wow, I've never seen a locker room like this. I've been in this business for all these years." He goes, "You guys, like, you're all together. Like, you're all sitting in a huddle around the monitor, watching each other's matches and cheering for matches to be better than the one before. Like, everybody wanted this company to become something. I wanted to make it a family atmosphere amongst the boys, and that sounds so out of left field. But it was important to me because I thought if we're all in this together, and they see that I'm not a typical promoter, I'm not going to screw anybody or fuck anybody. And I never did. I never wrote a bad check in my life. Never made a promise I couldn't keep. You know, once they saw that, it flowed.
How did an honest guy work so long with? I don't mean this as an insult. All the stories are on the shows with Paul Heyman.
That didn't become an issue until closer to when I decided I want to leave. Now you're in the 95. That's our next DVD.
Right.
This is only 92 and 93.
Right.
94 and 95 we'll do next.
So at this point, he's a straight shooter?
Yeah, as far as I knew. I never saw any evidence otherwise. He never would say to me, "Hey," like as he would years later, I'm just going to tell him this, and here's never.
Did he ever want you to be complicit in telling, later on in 95, not here, but later on, want you to be complicit in the webs that he would weave?
That's what dissolved our partnership, yeah.
Because you wouldn't do it?
Yeah, 100%.
You wouldn't lie to a wrestler?
Mm-mm. I'll tell you a story. We were in New York doing a show with Tommy D, was his name, promoter in New York. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
Okay. I just remember the Bruise Brothers were one. This is why I remember this. And I guess he was buying the show. And he's supposed to pay me, and we're using his venue and some of his guys. And that's what he wanted, to get some of his guys on our show, because we're trying to grow. And the show goes, "I can't pay the guys." I said, "What do you mean you can't pay the guys?" He goes, "Listen, write them all checks. By the time they get home, by then I'll have had the money to." I said, "I'm not going to write them checks knowing that not me. I'm not going to write them bad checks. It's your show. You're supposed to be paying everybody, paying their money."
This is Tommy D, not
promoter.
Paul. Say, okay.
The promoter. He goes, "Come on, man." I said, "No." I said, "Yo, Don, Ron, the Bruise Brothers. This guy wants me to give you bad checks. He wants to fucking, they'll get you later. What are you thinking?" Well, they picked him up. This guy's a little chunky dude. The Bruise Brothers. They picked him up in the air. His feet were dangling, You're gonna fucking pay us, brother. You know. I was like, well, let me get my briefcase. Also, Sandman took his briefcase. Like these guys were they were gonna kill him. I said, don't beat him up, because you'll never get paid.
Right.
But then he called me. He's like, my briefcase is gone. I said, I've located it. I found out Sandman had taken it and thrown it over the fence or something. He went around and got it later on. I said, you pay the boys. The briefcase comes back unopened. Somehow I came up with the money in the next 24 or 48 hours.
Right.
Yeah, but I won't screw money.
Right. But I mean, that's not Paul. I mean, this is a different.
Oh, it's just another. There's another example that I just would not be complicit in anything that I thought would come back later to say, no, this guy fucked me. I don't mind fucking him back. In fact, I'll tell you something about Hawk. You just said that. We had Hawk in a one of the like semi-mains, let's say, in an arena show. He calls me up. I guess the day before. Oh, deep voices. I gotta be honest with you, brother. I'm not gonna be there Saturday night. Hey, what are you talking about? We've been advertising this on TV for like the last 4 years. I ain't gonna lie to you. You never lied to me. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm on lockdown. I go, you're in jail? He goes, no, lockdown. I'm just smoking the shit in the mountains in a cabin, and I'm not coming out for a couple of days. Thank you for being honest. You know, like, but no, and on some level, he would have just no shown anybody else. He would just told me like a couple of days later, yeah, I got something happened to play. But he didn't do that. He said, I respect for you. I'm not going to lie to you.
Right.
I'm getting fucked up, but I'm not going to lie to you.
I'm not going to lie to you. I'm going to choose locking myself in a cabin and smoking crack.
I'll tell you what,
as opposed to meth, whatever.
Next time I come in, I'll do one show for free and one for, for money. Oh, you didn't pay me yet. I'll give you at least one free show. And he did.
Right.
Man,
Honor among thieves. It's a weird.
It is.
It's a weird place to find Zen.
Yeah, I mean, I guess, but still, that was, you got to respect the guy. At least is to say to you, I'm giving you a heads up. So you get there and find I'm not there. I'm telling you a day ahead of time I'm not coming.
Right. Like maybe Sid, who might have a softball game or something like that. You said Hawk said to you he was shocked by the unity.
He said, I've never seen a dressing room where nobody's trying to. There's nobody here trying to fuck anybody. Like nobody here is trying to like. He said, "Where I am." You got to wonder what this guy's up really about. What's it? Here, it's like you come to the curtain, the whole fucking dressing room, everyone hugging you and telling you what a great match you had.
Right, and we always hear that here. And in our 17, 18-hour chronicling of the history of this company so far, we always hear that, and it's usually attributed to Paul Heyman. Maybe by fans, maybe because it's what we see like in documentaries or the talking heads in those shows from Connecticut.
See, the thing is, when it was like that, he wasn't running things yet.
Well, what I want to say is now we're talking back in '93. Were you kind of the spiritual guru?
I'd like to think so. I like kind of like not like a father figure per se, but I'd like to think that they knew they could trust me. They knew I'd have their backs. I always did. And they had mine, and they all believed. We all believed. We never saw audience reactions like this anywhere. I mean, you go watch a WWF show back then, where again the reason I got in the business is when I just saw Papa Shango make the Ultimate Warrior throw up from across the arena. I said, "That's it, I'm done." That's when I decided I wanted to make my own promotion. That is the very moment. I encapsulate that very moment. And I thought to myself, we all believe it. Like we all think, you know what, guys? Like the football, like our team, our football team, we have a chance to go to the playoffs this year. Like we can build this. There's such passion here. It's crazy. We're selling more tapes and we're getting seats in the arena because word started getting around. Also, after an arena show, I get an order for 40 tapes from Japan. I go, Japan? How the fuck do they know how do they know what we're doing here? There's tape traders, right? And that's how we grew that's how we survived the company. Because the house show alone, ticket sales weren't enough. That
locker room camaraderie and passion and all that. What percentage of it can I attribute to Paulie's time at the pulpit and his inspirational speeches?
Again, that came later after Eddie was gone now, but he was a great motivational speaker. He was the guy, he was getting him out there to be the Newt Rockney. Guys, we've got this thing, but in the day-to-day, every day, give and take, when Mikey Whipwreck didn't have enough money to get home, and they had to come to my store and say, I didn't want to ask him, but I can't have money to get home. I said, all right, here, I'm just a train. Like, let me help you out. why'd you spend all your money at me this weekend? You know, shouldn't you budget out enough for a train ride home? But they could come to me. No questions asked. That's the way I felt.
What is the ECW Pennsylvania Championship, and what are your plans?
That was nothing. That was Eddie's way of finding something for. Well, I could see what was happening. The guys who had been with me from the beginning, who weren't quite ready yet to step to the next level, there wasn't going to be anything for them. It was a way for us to take that lower end of the card people who weren't going to be able to make the next step and have something for them too. So that was going to be the guys who, so they could have their own little feud, like lower end of the card feuds. They meant something instead of just lower end of the cards.
Gotcha.
Job guys.
But it's abandoned by the end of the year. Is it just that it's
Yeah,
not?
it meant nothing. Those guys were starting to fall off the wayside. It was basically what Joel Goodhart was doing at the Civic Center. We wanted to make our own with the people we have been using all along, and some of the talent we just started to be using. And they would know that when the show was here, that was going to be, whoa, we're going to build up to our first, like 4 times a year, 5 times a year supercar kind of thing. But of our guys that you would recognize being, this guy's the ECW. Now, they may wrestle other places in the country, some of the stars, but our dates, they've never missed them. Someone called and say, if someone called anybody, say Morocco stuck in those guys at the beginning, and said, how about June, September? Now it's only June. Hold on, brother. Are you running in September? They always give me that courtesy, because they wanted to be here more. They loved it here. They all partied together. They all hung out together. They partied at the building. We partied at the hotel. We partied everywhere. I mean, that's what we did. I used to say, if somebody passes the drug test, I can't use them. That was always my lie. Right. I had no use for them.
We've heard that. Now, this also becomes the first ECW show to be sold on videotape. So how does one...
some of the little bar shows where they didn't sell anything.
Well, I mean, you're marketing this now on TV, so how does one in 1993 go about setting up a videotape division for mass market sales?
We didn't. We'd say, and the orders came in, we'd say, you got 2 reels there, quick, make some more VHSs. How many I've got through 12 so far, you're killing me. Come on, man, we need more. We have 25 orders today. That's what we were doing. That was just
How does she
Eddie
get
wanted
that
to get
spot?
laid.
Eddie wanted to get laid. Was Missy here at the time yet?
No.
Okay. So Chris is working where now?
Smoky Mountain.
Okay, and she's still here. Seems like a good plan.
Hey, she got to spray the hairspray and boom.
Everyone got what they wanted? Everyone got what they wanted.
Everybody was happy.
Very good. Did you plan to use her more, or was this literally exclusively him trying to get laid?
Yeah.
Okay.
However, at that show, I believe was the show where we had the first ever, we're going to have a loser gets strip match.
Okay. Well, we'll cover it. I had it, but go ahead.
Okay.
There's some nudity here, isn't there?
Here we go. Tigra, the stripper.
Yes.
And Peach is Sandman's wife.
Yes.
We're going to have a loser get stripped. I'm thinking, well, she's a stripper. She's not going to mind stripping, what the hell she does for a living, for God's sakes. First I said to Eddie, I said, you know what I hate? I hate matches where the stipulation is like, if this happens, the guy gets his head shaved, and then he doesn't.
That doesn't happen.
Or it's going to be someone gets stripped, and they got a towel around and they never got stripped. You know what I'm saying? Or they had a bra underneath it. Whatever it is, I hate that. I hate ripping off the faces. I hated the feeling when I got ripped off. Especially when it's a show your tits match. Fuck. But the point was that I hated seeing that. Right. Loser leaves town, then he comes back under a mask a day later. That insulted my intelligence. And I think one of the things that really was very important to me from day one, not insult their intelligence. Don't tell them I'm going to give them something and then bait and switch. They're paying money, give them money, or don't advertise it. But don't advertise something and then not do it. I said, I'd love to do that kind of a match, but I hate those kind of finishes. He goes, so why don't you just strip her? I said, what? Why don't you just rip her clothes off in the ring then? I said, what are you talking about? We can't do that. He goes, why not? I go, can we do that? Really? That's what he goes, who's going to stop us? Like, we're our own little entity here. I said, okay. We got a stripper. What the hell? We announced this match. We get to the building, or the week, whatever it may be, and there's Peaches talking to her. Peaches goes, I think it's disgusting. There's going to be kids in the audience. I'll tell you one thing, I am not getting my top ripped off with kids out there. No way. And now Tiger's like, well, me either. I said, you do it for instance, but not in front of kids. And she didn't care at all until Peaches got indignant. I go, I don't believe it. I'm so pissed off that I hear, I'll do it. Angel Amorosa. God bless darling Angel Amorosa. I'll do it. She was a kid. She was like 19, 20. I don't know how old she was, but she got a big, chest. Okay, the finish came out. She went in there and jumped in the ring with her, but she's the one who got her. And then you see her go. And she showed all four sides. And you got to see this one kid is a kid. But if you've seen the tape, where this kid goes, and you just watch him go from like disbelief to like, this is the greatest thing in the history of my life. And you knew that kid would never, like if as long as his parents let him, he was going to be in every show for the rest of his life. I mean, we hooked, but you had to see the cameras that goes around. It's on the videotape. The kid's face just going. I mean, it was amazing. It was really very cool. And so we gave him the stipulation and we did it.
You do a lot of good work for children, like you mentioned earlier.
Yeah, pretty much everybody was calling us by this point. Now we had TV. Once we had TV, man, the phone rang off the hook. I'll tell you, I'm at my store. Bob Marion's on the phone. I go, Bob Marion? Okay, I go, hello? Tod Gordon, Bob Marion. I go, yes? I hear you're doing shows. I'd like to come work with your show. I said, well, what's your ring name? He goes, Bob Marion. I said, Bob Marion? I've never seen your work. Where do you work? He goes, WCW, Barbarian.
Okay.
I'm calling him Bob Marion. Who the hell's Bob Marion? Why do I want to hire Bob Marion? Who's the Barbarian? But these are all true stories. I couldn't make this shit up, Everybody wanted to work here.
Dick Murdoch semi-retired at the time. The match features Dark Patriot 2. Paul E. says that the original was in Japan and couldn't make it. Is this true? And if so, who's under the hood?
It was Doug Gilbert.
Okay.
That's just typical. And so Eddie and Doug and Murdoch, I guess, were at a relationship, and so he came in and worked for kind of a song and dance too. And he was also real good friends with Amy Lee, who was a Carluzzo person, believe it or not. But she and Dick Murdoch were really tight, and she liked our stuff a lot. She said, I can get you, Dick Murdoch, he's working another show with me up in New York or something, like he's going to be in here and I get to fly him in. So, come on, Buck, you throw him on. Yeah, it's the first time I took that phone hit. Damn, he whacked the shit out of me with that thing, man. God, and I was the boss, he wasn't even barely getting paid for me yet. I'm like, man, did he crack me on that one.
How did Eddie do with the whole King of Philadelphia?
He was so funny. We'd go through these clubs, and he just walked through the place, and you have to understand, no one knew him up here. No one was watching wrestling, especially 21 to 25-year-old real people who aren't wrestling fans. And he's walking through the crowds wearing the crown, wearing this cape, his wrestling gear, with a guy with a camera following him, and people going, and he started dancing with the girl. Yeah, girl with Jim Steaks, like, hey, can I get a cheesesteak, buddy? And he's like, oh, why you a wrestler? Yeah. And he was just naturally funny. Yeah. And then we started to play off each other a little bit, and it got good. Like, he wanted me to say that we grew up together, even though I was like 15 years older than he was. I said, we were growing up in Tennessee, and we did all this crazy stuff on TV, and we just got sillier and sillier. But the King thought it was a silly thing, but it was fun.
At this time, does Eddie have a problem?
Yes.
Even this early?
But masked.
Right. It wasn't interfering with work?
No.
His decision making?
Occasionally there would be a day where, Eddie didn't show up again. He wasn't feeling well. I'm sick, I'm really sick. So there were occasional days like that where I had to postpone the post-production, but that wasn't happening often yet, no.
And you don't talk to him about it or anything?
No, I believe he was sick.
Right.
I've been hanging out with the guy for like whatever number of months now, and every day, and I didn't see any indication otherwise.
This might be the first spot ever off the Eagle's Nest, right? Am I talking about that here?
Was that the Eagle's Nest?
It would be that, right? Oh no, it was.
The Eagle's Nest was up there.
Oh, it was next to what's over. Okay, they knocked the wall down actually.
Yeah, it was up there. Was that the first one? Yes, because that was Ted. Yeah, yes, that was the first spot off the Eagle's Nest. Him and JT Smith.
So this is one of the real first holy shit moments, and whose idea is this? Does anyone come to you beforehand?
Oh yeah, I'm sure it was Doug's.
Right.
He's on our mask, so it's hard to get over as a person. When no one can see your face. I guess he said, JT, we take this spot. JT is yelling. He's like, I'll do it. I'm saying, JT, now he's working my stores, bruh.
I need you Monday morning.
Are you sure? That's just a little serious. And he said, no, I can do it. And he did it. Of course, he had the big knee, and coming to work Monday, and he couldn't walk on that leg. His knee was swollen this big, but yeah.